Now we have a lot of meters. The only reason why, for instance, if you've paid for a meter now and you haven't gotten it, is because, you know, some few months ago we had a glitch in our system.
Yeah.
Someone is there constructing his house right now with a full intention of stealing.
So they're probably digging a hole right now just to do
So when his electrician comes, he says, put this thing through the ground. Put it through my wall before I put the plaster on. So if it's raining and your lights go off, then it means something must have tripped the power somewhere.
Okay.
So it's part of our maintenance routines. They have to go and then prune some of the trees that are overgrowing and overlooking over our lines.
Hello and welcome to yet another exciting edition of BizTech on GhanaWeb TV with me, Mawuli, Ahorlumegah. On this episode, we'll be talking to the Electricity Company of Ghana, and I have here with me the External Communications Manager, Leila Abubakari, and we'll be talking about the recent campaign of the ECG to mobilize some revenue. Leila, how are you? Welcome to the show.
I'm good. Thank you very much for having me on the show.
So how are things at the ECG?
Very well, I would say. We've been improving significantly for the past 2 years.
Okay.
And I think a lot of it has to do with our digitization process, because we've cut out a lot of human interferences and we're seeing significant gains in our revenue on a monthly basis, which we've never seen before, unprecedented amounts. So I can say things are going well. There's still a lot more to do, but so far so good.
Is there a lot of pressure? To deliver?
Always. If you are doing anything for the Ghanaian, it's a lot of pressure. And for electricity, which is almost like a basic commodity now and almost a right for everyone, it's very important for people to have access to that, for comfortability in homes, for businesses to run, for industry to move, for almost everything that we do nowadays. Electricity is very important. So our role has never been more significant than it is now.
Great. So as part of your digitization campaign, as you mentioned, you launched a number of revenue mobilization exercises. So just take us through all the phases that you guys went through.
Right. So when I said that we've seen significant gains in our revenue, it's because we're doing not so well some years back. This was based on our inability to bill some of our customers, to be able to collect our monies. There was also an issue about the tariff that PRC had apportioned to us, which was not cost reflective. There were forex losses because we buy the power from the generators in the dollar denomination. We sell to customers in the CD denomination. We collect the money in CD, but we have to pay the generators back aside from VRA in dollars. So the forex difference could not be made up in the tariff that was apportioned to ECG. So our revenues were more or less cut short at the point we're even selling to customers. And then another issue was also the illegal connections that is in the system, infested everywhere in our operational areas. So we set out to mobilize revenue because it was becoming almost suicidal for the company. We're sinking really quickly and management thought it wise. So how it started actually was to let the leaders of management, the directors, every month go out and then try and mobilize some money, because we realized that customers more or less sometimes forget about ECG. It's like the last thing on their to-do list. I mean, you enjoy the power and everything, but when it gets to paying, it can always be relegated. One, because they probably don't see the officers come to the premises of their houses to take readings. They don't receive their bills, so they don't remember. And so it's just the last thing on their mind. So when the directors started going out, they realized it was making a difference. When they go and remind customers that you owe ECG,
they quickly go and
make payment. Okay. So when we started 2023, the MD, Mr. Dubik, said, if the directors are able to make such an impact, can you imagine what it would mean if all staff were out there collecting money? And at that time, we were actually at a very critical point in the company because we needed money to pay the generators. So we set out on the first revenue mobilization, which was between March and April this year.
And you set some targets, right?
We set some targets. At that point, we were owed about 5.7 billion Ghana cedis. And we were able to collect about 70% of the amount, which is about 3.1 billion.
So you still have some more to go?
We still had some more to go, but it was a really good gain. It made a lot of difference, and it actually showed us that if we went out to collect our monies, there would be more revenue in our pockets. So we went out again in the beginning of July, actually in the middle of July, this time on a 2-month hunt.
Okay.
But this time it's taken a different form because, you know, as I mentioned earlier on, some of the reasons why we are not able to collect or some of the reasons why our revenue wasn't adding up was because we couldn't identify some of the people who were using power. So now, as we're on the field trying to get people to pay their bills, we are also looking at our networks and people who have tapped into it illegally, those who are using faulty meters, those who are using foreign meters, those who are using meters that are not in our system database because of 1 or 2 reasons, and trying to put them all on. Because we believe that if we have more customers, it automatically translates to more revenue. So that's what we are on now, and it's been good so far. We have quite a number of new customers.
Great, Leila. So you've had to deploy some digitization efforts.
Yeah.
I know you launched, I think, was it digital payment service, right?
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
So that's, well, one aspect is us revamping our app.
Okay.
So
that's the ECG mobile app.
The ECG power app. And it's been incredible because now almost all our prepaid users rely on that app. They are able to buy electricity directly on that app, and then the token is generated, and then they put it into their meters.
At any time?
At any time.
Okay. At their own convenience?
At their own convenience.
Okay.
That is for most meters. Just a couple of meters that still require the customer to go into a vending office or a vending store.
Unfortunately, my meter that I use at home, I'm not able to use the app because I think it's one of the old, it's the prepaid meter, but I think it's one of the old ones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because some of the meters have been in the system for quite some time. They are not as smart as the ones some of the others that we have. So we are trying to roll out this new system where you'd be able to vend directly onto your card.
Okay.
Instead of going into the vending store.
That's very interesting. You're just going, so you just, instead of, you
the
just
inconvenience,
put the card on your phone.
Exactly.
Okay.
When your lights go off after midnight and your nearest vendor is off or has gone home, you can just place your card behind your phone and then vend on it. I think it's called the NFC system. So those are some of the new things that we're doing. So with the app, it's really improved. Now, postpaid customers, you know, at first they'll say, I haven't received my bill. I don't know how much I'm... Actually, now when you go on, you can see your actual consumption up to the previous day. So if I were to be using... So it's not like anyone
is cheating you and bringing you a different figure that you've not used?
No.
Okay.
So when you look on it, you can see your average consumption by the day. And it'll tell you that it's calculated from the first day of August to maybe today is the 20th or 21st. It's calculated up to this day. And if you want, you can pay that amount. So you don't have to wait for anyone to bring you a bill anymore. So that's one aspect of our digitization process. The other part is we've gone cashless. And what does this mean? We do not accept cash again in our offices.
Why is that?
Because it's just easier for the customer as well. Because we find out that a lot of customers have dealt with people who are not ECG staff. So and when it comes to tracing
into the system,
when it comes back to tracing who they pay the monies to, they can't name someone. I mean, you can wear something ECG and claim to be a staff, but your ability, your ability to prove that you actually did this transaction for that person, or someone says, oh, I came in and this ECG staff, okay, where's the evidence? So we're trying to cut out that human interference and just give the customer more surety that when you pay your money, you're paying to ECG. You're not paying to a human. Someone isn't taking physical cash and putting it,
sort of a third party,
you know, and then going to deposit it. What it was also doing to us was that we weren't seeing the money in our accounts quickly enough, because they'll have to wait the whole day and then around 4 p.m. quickly rush to the bank, deposit it.
By that time the bank has closed.
Even if it's open, the bank holds on to the money for another 48 hours because they have to do business with the money as banks do. But now, if you go and pay through our cashless system, not only are you assured that your money has been paid directly to ECG, ECG can also see the money in its account instantly.
Okay.
So then our revenue then goes up.
So everything is in real time.
Everything is in real time.
Okay.
So it's really improved, and now there are very few cases of people saying, "Oh, I paid this person and I paid that person," because just show me the traceability. Okay. When you paid, there must have been something in your app. There must have been a prompt sent to your phone or something, and you can't blame one human being for it, but the system. So
it looks like you've had a couple of months having to implement all these methods and
it's been years in the making. Actually, it's just rearing its beautiful head now. We are now pushing for it to be more effective. And you know, for technology, a lot of things that we implement, you don't see the end result until maybe it takes a while. And even within ECG, the change is gradual because you need to train the staff to understand the system so that they can assist the customer. Okay. So it's been a very systematic and very interesting change within, but I'm so glad with the way people are accepting the change and quickly, you know, adapting to the technologies that we are introducing almost every week. So yeah, it's been exciting in here. Okay,
Leila, I've been having a very interesting conversation. I'll just take a quick break and I'll be right back. I've been speaking with Leila Abubakari. She's the External Communications Manager for the Electricity Company of Ghana. And we've been talking about their efforts to digitize and also mobilize revenue. I'll be right back after this break.
Everyone needs the perfect snack to munch on during a fun moment. Wow. Enjoy the tasty McBerry Twist cupcakes, deliciously baked and packaged for a sweet treat. Premium quality cakes baked with love for all, enriched in butter and milk.
Yummy. Oh,
McBerry Twist cupcakes, simply irresistible. Try one today. This advert is FDA approved.
Welcome back from that break on BizTech. My guest is still Leila Abubakari, and she's the External Communications Manager with the ECG. And we've been talking about their digitization efforts and also their campaign to mobilize revenue. Leila, I've been having a very interesting conversation with you. Now I want to come to the elephant in the room. This meter tampering and meter connections, and what's that one thing that you guys found when you embarked on this exercise? Because it kept coming up in the news. We kept seeing the stories and the companies and the houses and the hotels and the businesses.
Yeah. The truth of the matter is energy is expensive in Ghana.
So people want to bypass the system.
It's not the cheapest commodity, but it's essential. Because it's essential, people will try to get it at whatever cost that they can. But then if there's a way for them to bypass the actual cost, they would. Right?
So they'll do anything to do it.
Right? And for a while now, we have condoned it in the society. Someone buys a meter, or they get a meter installed, and maybe the electrician comes around, there's a fault, and then he's having a conversation with the electrician. He says, "Oh, even nowadays my power
it
goes really too much. I'm paying too much for electricity." And then he says, "Oh, if you give me this amount of money, I can do something on it for you, and it wouldn't run as much anymore."
Which is illegal.
And then they agree. And so that's the moral part of it. You engaging in a service or in an act that is illegal. That is wrong. You are literally stealing, right? If someone stole your goat, you'd say the person is a thief and you take them to court. You're stealing power. It's because, you can't physically see power. You're only tapping into it. You feel yours is more minor, but it's still theft. And we've condoned that in the society for a long time, that people feel it's okay to steal power. Because our prepaid meters are smart, there's been the issue of us not inspecting a lot of our systems. Unlike the postpaid one,
so if I guess you are doing more compliance on the postpaid,
right,
and less on the prepaid.
So you have at least one visitation every month or every 3 months. Someone comes around, looks, and then the person will be able to tell that wasn't running the way it was the last time I came.
So you notice the change in the figures.
Especially if he's been doing that particular area for a while. He knows how most of the meters behave.
Oh, so your technicians can tell
they are trained,
how much power?
Yes, they are trained to be able to tell unless there's an increase in consumption in the household.
Okay.
Or if there's a malfunction somewhere.
Okay.
If there's something wrong in your running the meter, the way your meter is being run, he would be able to tell after 1 or 2 visits, and he will alert the officers to come and check.
Okay.
So for postpaid, because there was always 1 or 2 people coming in every now and then, we didn't have that. But for prepaid, we weren't inspecting as much. It's only when there's a fault and the customer comes to our office, then we go there.
Then you go and check.
Right. So it allowed a lot of people to get away
the system
with it. And it's only at the point of collection that we realize that something isn't adding up. Because we buy power for 1 cedi from VRA.
Okay.
And then we sell 1 cedi of power, but then we're only collecting 30 pesos. So where's the 70 pesos going?
Something is missing.
Something is missing. And a lot of it had to do with the illegal connections and the bypasses and the meters. So now we're trying to revamp our inspections of our meters. So we're going to start inspecting both postpaid and prepaid meters.
Okay.
Every 3 months, you're going to have someone come around and look at the integrity of your system. If it's okay by us, we're going to leave. Now, what we've realized, customers also say is, oh, we're spending too much on power. Have you checked the integrity of your earthing? Because some people's wiring system is very poor, or sometimes the equipment they're using in their houses are very inefficient. And so after a few years, it starts draining heavily.
Especially in old buildings.
Exactly. And so every now and then you have to have someone who is qualified come and check your earthing to see how much power is being consumed, because our business starts at the pole and ends at the meter. We don't do inspection of wiring. It's on the customer to take that step to make sure that the integrity of their infrastructure within and without their houses is all working properly. But on our side, yes, we're going to improve our monitoring so that we can make sure that we're giving our customers the best service, and our customers in turn reward us with the revenue that we have billed them for. And we are also making sure that we're going to get more meters into the system. The thing is, if you don't collect a lot of revenue, you cannot afford meters, which has been the problem. It's actually the reason why there has been a shortage of meters for a very long time.
But we always get to see that every time, because I have a personal experience. I've requested for it a number of times, and it's been more than 3 years now.
Yes.
And they always say, oh, we don't have new meters and all of that. But what are you guys doing to rectify that?
It's all liquidity issues. Because we collect the money and we are paying the generators, and there's almost nothing left for us to be able to procure meters in bulk. Now the thing is, we don't buy meters in bits.
You have to buy them in bulk.
In bulk. It makes more sense to buy in bulk, and also to have some homogeneity in the system. If you buy in bulk, you have one type of meter that you can supply to one type of area. If there's a problem, you can identify where the problem is coming from. Or if there's a problem in one area, you know that one solution will work for most of the meters. So we think about some of these processes before we procure the meters. However, because we haven't had enough money to buy in bulk, there's been that gap there where people are now festering. People are getting meters from elsewhere and are supplying to people without our knowledge.
So this is not on the ECG system?
So some of the meters are not on our system. That's what we call the foreign meters.
So there are people selling foreign meters.
There are people selling foreign meters. Because what's a meter? It's
Isn't
a
that
machine.
Worrying for you guys?
It is. It's one of our biggest problems. Which
it's my first time hearing it, so I'm actually shocked.
So, which is one of the problems that come to lie at our doorstep. It is because we're not able to procure meters for customers. And we are supposed to put the meters in people's houses so that we can measure the amount of power that we've sold to you or are selling to you.
Because you get the meter and fix it, so you can tell
it is
how much.
what we use to get our revenue. So it's very important for us. But we are not collecting enough, and so we are not able to meet the demand. More people are building their houses and demanding new services. More people are requesting separate meters because they live in a house,
a compound house,
and they cannot. Yes,
they
people
can't quantify who's using
exactly.
what.
And we're just not able to meet that demand.
And are the ECG meters free? Because it keeps coming up. Sometimes there's a
it is subsidized.
Subsidized. Okay.
It is not free.
Okay.
But the cost is inbuilt into your payment for your bill up to a certain point. What you pay
would
for
you pay
is
the person that's connecting it? The
so,
ECG.
Yes, so that's
have
part.
To pay.
Yes, so that's what's called the service fee. So when you come to ECG and you pay something we call the service fee.
Okay.
The service fee would cater for the contractor, would cater for our transportation, would cater for us coming to check if there's a nearby pool, all those things, because we don't make money by ourselves. This is a non-energy money that we charge you for that service that we are provided. But the cost of the meter is highly subsidized. The cost of a real meter in the market is just about $200.
Okay.
But what is inbuilt into is just about $50.
Okay.
So the customer doesn't pay because we see it as a very important part of our business, and so we don't want to give it to you at it, because if we have the meters for you, then we can charge you what you use. And yeah, it's one of our biggest problems. But now we have the loss reduction program, which we've rolled out. Now at first we used to import the meters. Okay. Now we are relying on meter manufacturers within Ghana.
Okay, so you're keeping them domestic.
Yes.
Okay.
It's also part of our local content. Okay. You know, the law requires that
you give
if you can
local content services and give some jobs to the local
people.
So how's our program going so far?
It's really going well. So now we have a lot of meters. The only reason why, for instance, if you've paid for a meter now and you haven't gotten it, is because, you know, some few months ago we had a glitch in our system.
Yeah.
Now, our system was compromised, and you know, IT systems and all that, it takes a while for you to retrieve.
I remember, I think it was about 3-4 days.
Yeah, that has really been tough for us, and we are still recovering from that.
Was that a breach or a hack?
I think it would be called a hack.
Okay.
In IT terms. So the system was compromised.
The entire system? Or parts of the system?
Part of the system, because we're able to recover some of our data, and we've been able to move on with business. Okay. But for the first couple of months, it was down, and we couldn't access our customer management system for a while.
So when it came back on, what did you find?
No, when it came back on, we were able to see our customer base, we were able to see monies that were owed us. We're still not able to do certain functions that we used to do, and so we are migrating our old system onto a new
system,
more secure system. So I was explaining the reason why some people haven't received their meters yet. Some people made a requisition for the meters before the hack. Now when the hack happened, the system was compromised.
So everything...
Their names are in the system, but we can't extract,
sort of verify, take them out
for transfer onto the people or onto the suppliers.
So that leaves a whole new problem now for you guys.
So we're having to manually extract them.
So in pen and paper instead of...
Exactly. Which could have just been done with a click. Now we'd have to literally write out names, copy numbers, make phone calls. When at first we could have just sent you a message that we are coming to install and all that. But the meters are now available for most of the regions that we operate in.
Still subsidized? Still
subsidized. Still the same cost. I think it was revised in March. The cost was revised in March. And it's still the same. So I'm happy to announce that there are meters. If anyone is still waiting for a meter, it is because we are trying to extract the information.
Get the old information.
Yes, but those who have requested for new services, a lot of them are being served. And we actually have a premium service we are piloting in Legon district. Okay. If you go and you pay, now what that system looks like is, if you're willing to pay a guru boy to come and install a fake meter, we can find you a meter, and if you're willing to pay for the full cost of the meter and installation, we will come and then install it for you within 24 hours.
So basically, you want to take the jobs from the Guru boys.
Exactly.
Okay.
Rather than let the Guru boys do.
I think it makes more sense because, I mean, you would prefer the distributor.
It means people, because we realize that customers are willing to pay any amount to
just to
acquire
get
the meter. Okay. And so if we can make an exception for the customers who are in dire need of meters and are willing to pay extra.
And at least it sounds more guaranteed because it's from the distributor
Exactly.
itself.
Okay. And delivery is within 24 to 48 hours.
Okay. So you had to make a few arrests. So just briefly take us through some of the cases that you have. And I know some companies were found culpable in doing some serious tampering and all of that. So just give us a brief.
You don't want to say the name of the company.
No, I don't want to mention their names, but just give us a brief and where are we with that case, those issues?
Yes, so like you mentioned in the last revenue mobilization exercise, because we were walking the ground and we had people looking at our systems and people's houses and meters, we found so many anomalies in the system. And one of the most interesting one that made headline was the issue of Hillbury.
Yes.
And they had intentionally bypassed our meters.
So it was deliberate.
It was very deliberate. And that's what makes it a very interesting case, because it was engineered into the building. Sorry
to catch you. So is it that when you went there, like what was the first thing that you guys saw before you realized that there was something off?
Yeah, nothing.
So everything looked perfect.
No, they had been operating for several years with that same system, and it was so well done that when you go in on first glance,
it won't click.
Yeah, everything seems okay. And they had done it in such a way that they still pay an amount to ECG so that it doesn't draw their attention.
Oh, so it was never reflecting that they were even doing
Yes, so there's an amount that is paid, but it's significantly low.
Okay.
Right. So it was one of our officers who said, well, for the sake of it, let's just check. Let's just double check to see if their meters are okay. And they have this very beautiful device that has a so there was a video that went around. Yeah. So he puts the device around the cable and there's no current. About 3 meters,
but
no
the power
current.
was active.
Because they had bypassed and they had dug the wires in. The hole. Yes, and then they had put it through and they were feeding their... So that was a really big case, and it just shows a tiny aspect of what people really do. So someone is there constructing his house right now with a full intention of stealing.
So they're probably digging a hole right now just to do
So when his electrician comes, he says, put this thing through the ground. Put it through my wall before I put the plaster on. So when we come, we see the meter all right. There are figures on the meter, but he's consuming way more than the meter has recorded. And it only takes an intelligent eye, a very intelligent person, to notice that the size of the house or the things in the house and the number of people in the house don't correlate with the amount I'm seeing on the meter. And then we'll draw our attention. Because people are really, really getting smart with this. And that's why we are calling on the courts to set a separate court for utility,
some of these issues,
and then sit on these cases, because I think if you are very intentional about stealing, we should also be very intentional about prosecuting you.
So we're wrapping up. I wanted to find out from you, obviously you know it's in the news, the independent power producers, they've threatened a few times to cut power supply from the national grid because there's this, you owe us, you don't want to pay us. So just give us a brief from your position and what the ECG is doing to sort of rectify the situation.
Yeah, I call the independent power producers our partners in development. Without them, a lot of people will be without power. In fact, when one power generator goes off, the magnitude of the outage is appalling. I didn't know till I started working at ECG. Now we've realized that it's very difficult for us to collect enough money to be able to pay them back. Like I said earlier on, they bill us in dollar and we pay them in dollar, but we sell our power and collect our power in cedis. There's always a shortfall, even before.
And it's a forex challenge as well.
Exactly. So it's something that really goes beyond ECG. It's even up to Parliament. we have to sit down and really look at some of the agreements that we made, and also have a conversation with these power producers to understand that issue and the unsustainability of the agreements that we had with them. With the amounts that we are collecting now, if we're able to increase our revenue, then it should be able to address the issue a little bit. Not completely, but enough for all of us to still be in business and not sink.
Okay, so final question before the final question. So what's your relationship with VRA, BUI, and all of that, Netco, all of that? Is the relationship good?
Yeah, it's excellent. So VRA is, I would say, our favorite. It's the oldest generator.
Yeah.
It's hydro, so it's very clean. And they bill us in cedis, which we're very happy about. And they're very considerate of us. VRA, BUI, and the other, Netco is a distributor.
It's a distributor, so just like ECG.
But they distribute for the north. Their distribution starts from, I think, the Bono region.
Okay.
Up to the northeast, northern,
Northwest,
upper east, upper west.
Okay.
So they serve the upper part.
Okay.
With VRA, BUI, and the rest, yes, they generate for us, send over to Gridco. Gridco is a transmitter. They step it down, and then we take it from the bulk supply point and then distribute to our customers. Then when we collect the money, we pay Gridco upwards.
Okay.
And
so it's like a chain.
It's a chain. So we collect the money to pay them. And it's been a very good relationship so far, I think. Right. Yeah.
Final question. Should we be worried about dumsor? You're the distributor. Should the Ghanaian public be worried about dumsor? Because it keeps coming up. This weekend,
what will cause dumsor?
This weekend, my lights went off for a period.
This weekend?
Yeah, this weekend on Saturday, it went off for.
It probably was a planned maintenance.
I mean, yeah, obviously because it was raining.
No, if it's raining, it doesn't mean your light should go off.
Okay.
If we have a planned maintenance where some of our networks have to be looked at by the engineers, they'll put it off from a certain period.
So not because it's raining?
Not because it's raining.
So I've always been under the impression that sometimes when it's raining, it has to go off.
No, it doesn't have to go off.
But that has always been the impression.
Yeah, if it goes off and it's not a planned maintenance, then it means that a fault generated somewhere in the network.
Okay.
You know, sometimes some of the lines go through trees. And if the rain comes with a storm, or if it's a storm and the wind is blowing and it trips on any of the lines, it could affect the reception of power by our customers. So if it's raining and your lights go off, then it means something must have tripped the power somewhere.
Okay.
So it's part of our maintenance routines. They have to go and then prune some of the trees that are overgrowing and overlooking over our lines to make sure that when the winds blow, nothing trips. Because the thing is, you know, an interesting thing, it's not as if the developed countries don't experience power outages.
They all do.
Right. And actually, that's another thing. Someone said to me recently that they wanted a 3-phase meter.
3-phase meter?
Yes.
So that if one goes up, they have 2 more.
That is the impression. But it's actually not, it's not what they're looking for. What they're looking for is reliability. And your lights not going off would have to do with redundancy on our side. So we have to create.
We don't have much more to offer.
No, redundancy in the network. So the lines that bring power to your house, we just need more than one. So that if one trips, it can switch.
You can just switch to the next
like
one.
they do in the developed world. When the lights go off, you don't realize it because
it just switches
to another line. What a 3-phase meter does is it's transformers. So if one line isn't working, it shifts you onto another line on another transformer, or even on the same transformer.
Like a generator.
Right. So what happens is, if more people go on a certain line, you might even overload that line and then it will trip again. You don't need a 3-phase meter. What they are looking for is reliability, which we should assure. But then again, that's another expense. Maybe if you build your house in future and you're going to request, you say you want a 3-phase meter.
Maybe I might.
Because you want that reliability of when the power goes off, another option coming on, another option giving you power supply. But what we should be able to do is give you enough security from the point where the power is being transmitted from Great Hills lines to the customers. And that's so expensive. So for now, the lights will still be tripping because it is physics. It's basic physics. If the electrons are moving and there's an interruption, there's going to be outage somewhere. If it's a physical interruption, someone will have to physically go and put it back on, and it takes a while.
Takes a while. Okay.
But dumsor is coming from generators, or the concept of dumsor as we know it comes from generators not being able to meet the demand of our customers. And for now, I don't see any of it happening because we have enough power in the system.
That's actually good news.
Yeah.
Leila, thank you so much. I've been having a very interesting conversation with you. So I've been speaking with Leila Abubakari, and she's the External Communications Manager at the Electricity Company of Ghana. And we've been talking about the company's digitization efforts and also efforts to mobilize revenue. She's been my guest on this week's edition of BizTech. Before we go, don't forget to log on to our website, www.ghanaweb.com. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at the GhanaWeb, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel, GhanaWeb TV. Once again, I am Mawuli Ahorlumegah. Please do stay for Biz Headlines.